Hello and welcome back to episode 3. As always, we've came out this episode with a general idea of what we want to speak about, but we don't edit this for better or for worse, and we never quite know where we're going to end up. In this episode, we ended up unpacking the painful start to our own property journey, the mistakes we've made, and our latter experiences in property coaching. It's a story we've told in a few different forums now, and the response we've gotten from people has always been overwhelmingly positive, and it's something that we want to share with you as well. So if you're enjoying the podcast, please do click the subscribe button. You'll get notified when new episodes drop, and it's a wee ego boost for us as well. Hopefully this episode just goes to show you, if you've had a setback in any walk of life, it might just be the best thing that's ever happened to you. So without further ado, let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy. So, right, I'll press record there. And we are recording.
Episode 3 of the Pipes, Pens and Property Podcast.
Welcome back if you are listening. If you've made it through episodes 1 and 2. 1 and 2. God's sake, right, here we go. This episode, we are going to jump a wee bit into coaching, our lack of coaching at the start, our coaching since, and now delivering coaching as well.
Aye.
So,
Just give a wee bit of advice to people as well, if they are looking for a coach, maybe what to look out for. And just about, I think there's a pretty negative perception out there sometimes about property coaching. Gets a bit of a bad rep, but if done right, really can change people's lives.
I think a lot of it depends on fit the aim of the individual is.
Where I would start is, what's the aim that they have, and has their coach done what they're looking to do?
Because if you,
in a nutshell.
when I think back to when we first started this, it was never our intention to grow a portfolio. It was never our intention to go out and raise finance.
No, I'm actually going to take it back even further. We never actually mentioned this in episode 1. But how did, not ACN Property Group, but how did our property journey start?
Right, we're diving down that rabbit hole. Okay. So, back in the day, when I was in the Merchant Navy, you couldn't help but accumulate a wee bit of money in the bank because you literally were never home to spend it. So, there was basically a deposit there for a buy-to-let, potentially, sat in the bank. And I remember me and my wife, Stace, we were looking at a few different options. We were looking at flats in Inverness, which is it's quite a bit more expensive than what we're used to on the East Coast, Northeast Coast, I should say. And I couldn't figure out how property investors were actually making it work. Because you look at your mortgage payments, look at what you're having to pay the letting agent, what you're paying on insurance, and putting a wee bit of money aside for maintenance or void periods. And then you take tax off of the rental income, because at the time we were looking at buying it in our personal names. Now, as an accountant, I can see you smirking across the table for me. You'll ken that is not a smart move.
Aye.
Well, it's nae that it's nae a smart move. It's just for what we are looking to do, it wasn't the right move.
Aye. This is a typical lawyer or accountant's kind of statement, but you've obviously got to go and get your own advice on all of these kind of things.
Shite bag.
But you didn't see many people doing it in their personal names now. Doesn't make a huge amount of sense most of the time.
Take for that what you will.
Yeah.
So, basically we're left kind of scratching our heads a wee bit with how are folk making it work. And then I think it must have been about a year later, because we never pulled the trigger on that. Me and you were in Belfast for a piping competition, and we went out for a few pints of Guinness, started discussing the idea of potentially clubbing together for a buy-to-let doing in the likes of Glasgow.
Yep.
Which led us to, shall I say, exploring avenues on the internet. But you can potentially do in property investing in a few different strategies that you can use.
Aye. The creative juices were flowing after a few creamy pints of Guinness.
Expensive pints it turned out to be. So that's far we came across the rent-to-rent model.
Aye. And I think this is where I think sometimes, unfortunately, the guys with the biggest ad spend on all these platforms are inevitably the ones that appear on all your algorithms.
Yes, we probably fell victim is the wrong word, because if it happened was our fault.
We're stupid gits.
That's a wee bit harsh, but thank you. But no, it was our fault. So basically, if it happened is we came across this strategy, rent to rent, and if you're not familiar with it, all it is you rent a property from a landlord and you essentially sublet that on Airbnb, Booking.com, that sort of thing. And the difference in price that you're paying on the rent and you're bringing in through Airbnb is your income. So you've got expenses on top of that. Sometimes you've got leased furniture. Sometimes you buy furniture. You've got utility bills, council tax, or business rates, whatever you're paying.
The attraction, I would say, is even you could even buy the furniture and get set up compliant for about 12k for a property.
Aye, the barrier to entry was certainly a lot lower.
And that's probably where we fell foul of it. You seen that. You seen the potentially, I mean, the people who are making it work are doing really well off of it. So to be fair, there are people making money off of it. But when you compared it to what we had already been looking at, it seemed a no-brainer, because the buy-to-let, if you were purchasing at asking price, paying your ADS, all these costs,
Yes.
there was no profit at the end of the month.
Yeah.
At least with this, there was a chance of that.
Aye. It was it was probably rushed into. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely.
So, to cut a long story short, because there's a few things we want to unpack in this episode, I had paid a £5,000 sourcing fee to a guy who was selling a deal in Manchester. And he was selling an entire block of deals. It was a new development that was being sold off unit by unit, or rented out unit by unit, I should say, as serviced accommodation, rent to rent. And paid him the fee, never heard from him. The deal never materialised, never got a set of keys, and left £5,000 down. So I suppose at that point, probably a lot of folk would have said, right, that's plenty for me. That's me done. But we battered on. We got two more. So one was on the coast in Margate, and the other was a 4-bed house in Bath. Now, this was with a different agent, so we paid the fees, we got the keys, got set up, and as far as we were concerned, everything was fine. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, the one in Margate in particular, I would say, when we took that on, I think we took it on about June time, and there was a fantastic amount of bookings for July, pretty much full occupancy. August was solid. September was solid. So it looked like a good investment on paper because you had all these pre-bookings up front.
Yes.
And you were like, well, it's not guaranteed, but you're like, at least the first couple of months, we're not going to lose money.
No.
But there was a reason, probably, that the deal was sold at that time of year, because very quickly you realised that this town must be jam-packed for 3 months in the summer.
Aye.
And then a ghost town for 9 months.
Yeah.
Literally.
And we never did the checks that we should have on nightly rates, occupancy. We kind of took the guy at his word.
There is that, but it's difficult, I would say, to tell unless if you have these advanced kind of subscriptions set up for AirDNA, sites like that. And we were literally just going on to Airbnb as if we were a guest,
Aye.
looking to see what the nightly rate was. And to be fair, the rates that were quoted was very in line with what you're seeing.
Aye, we were at peak season though.
Yeah.
Which we never took into account either, really.
But even those bookings we had in July and August and September weren't achieving the nightly rates
Aye.
that was on there. Anyway.
So that property turned out to be a massive letdown, and during the winter months it was actually starting to cost us money to operate that.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up handing the keys back to that, and the one in Bath actually was doing pretty well. If you remember, there was a squad of 4 or 5 guys were staying in there. It was actually a long-term stay. It was 18 months. There was quite a lot of construction going on in Bath at the time. So managed to secure that booking, and I got a letter in for the council one day, and it said, we think you're running an illegal HMO. So we'd like to investigate, and if we find you essentially guilty of doing that, the maximum fine that we can slap on you is like 30 grand or something, just to make you aware. I was like, all right, okay. So swiftly proceeded to shit myself. And I was emailing everybody, the guy who sold us the deal, the council, the service accommodation manager, the person who'd actually booked the stay to see what was happening, because the council were saying we're going to send a planning officer around to basically find out what's going on. And basically what had happened was the guys who were staying there were over for Romania, so they didn't have a permanent address in the UK, and for some reason they decided to register a vote at that property. So the council had thought, right, there's five registrations came in for this property, but it's got a HMO license. Let's find out where these guys live, and if that is their permanent address, then that house has essentially been operated as an illegal HMO. Now, obviously, because they were from Romania, they didn't have a permanent address, which, like, the council were pretty excited. So the planning officer was there so often that the guys ended up just moving out, finding alternative accommodation, just because they were getting hassled so much. Sorry. And just having a drink, I'm really upset. It's emotional. No, so the guys moved out, and obviously your calendar then is empty. And I had kind of just had enough of the back and forth with the council. Probably a lot of worry that they were going to find a way of kind of pinning that fine on us. So ended up handing back the keys. Cutting were losses. Obviously, there was leased furniture in there as well, which I had to pay off in a 4-bed house. So it wasn't a small amount of money. So, we made mistakes that cost us a fair bit of cash right at the very beginning.
Absolutely. But to be honest, it's one of them. We fell foul of the algorithms and all this stuff that was popping up in our feeds, because you know what, like, you start searching property investing, and then all you see in your TikTok is property investing, that sort of thing.
Aye.
And that's what happened. But it's maybe a weird way of looking at it, but unless that came up in our feeds and then we made that mistakes, we probably wouldn't be sitting here right now making this podcast.
Probably no.
How we got here, I wouldn't choose to do it, but we're here now.
If there was an alternative route, I would have. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Like, I'm glad it's worked out, and it's not a mistake that it's worked out. It's taken a lot of work.
Yep.
But
then we moved on. So after that, there was a period of time. There was a bit of urgency because we're losing money on a monthly basis. There was a wee bit of overlap sorry, that was me this time. So episode 1 that you hit the mic boom, that was me. But no, there was a wee bit of overlap between. We still had a couple of these rents, but we knew we needed to change how we were doing things. We knew that we needed to go and basically see somebody that actually knew what they were doing.
Aye.
And that was when we came across SGA. To be honest, it just came up in my feed. I think it was one of Sean's refurbs. And I thought, oh, that looks cracking. And then it's the stupid things. I mean, when I think back now, it's absolutely stupid what I'm on my way to say. But he posted photos of it, posted the numbers, and I looked at the refurb cost for a full renovation on a 2-bed flat, 20 grand. And I'm thinking, geez, if I go to Dakota, kitchens are like 15 grand, that's all right.
Aye.
And that's what hooked me. They hooked me, but got me interested and thought, oh, I better click further.
Well, local as well.
Local as well, aye. Somebody in Aberdeen doing the refurbs, how were they able to do that at that price? And that was literally, it's a stupid things. It wasn't the return or anything like that. Stupid things you're looking at back then. got in a call with James, and I guess what probably enticed us a bit was it was three guys who had a very similar background to you, all either went offshore or oil and gas related careers, all guys that
Handsome.
were aye, well, more than me anyway. And they were all fair round about Aberdeen.
Aye.
I think, to be quite honest, it was part of it, guys that aren't that much older than us, who hadn't overnight built something to leave the jobs. But I personally found it pretty impressive to go from, I'm not saying rags to riches, but to go for relying on a full-time job to building something that's sustainable for the long term in a 4 or 5 year period.
The story was certainly a lot more relatable, was it?
Aye. And there was the chance to go to local refurb visits, attend events locally, and there was case studies of people who had actually went through the exact same program we went through and had success.
Aye.
But I think looking back, I mean, you can still, part of it's to do with the training and part of it's to do with the person.
Okay.
I think you could put somebody in the best training coaching program in the world, but if they've they got the impetus and they got the drive to really do what it takes, then I don't think they're going to have success. In fact, I mean by that, it's no big things. It's just like, we're lucky we've got the two of us, but we rarely missed a weekly coaching call. We rarely missed a refurb visit. And I think that's how we were able to build up the momentum quite quickly. But I don't know what your thoughts are anyway, but my thoughts anyway are on it is that look at whoever the kind of founder or coach of that coaching community is. What have they actually done? Maybe look them up at Company's House. You can see a few things on there. See how much of a... Sorry.
Yeah, fine. You're just wobbling the camera.
Oh, all right, okay.
Stop battering the table.
Aye, just research your coach, see how many properties have they actually got. If they're claiming to be a buy-to-let expert with a big portfolio, have they actually got a buy-to-let portfolio? You can see the charges in Company's House. And just, have they actually done what you're looking to do? I think that's probably the big mistake that we made to start with. And then the positive experience that we've had at SGA probably reinforces that. They're not the only coaching group out there that are actually doing what they're saying, but that would be my recommendation, having had that good experience.
Aye. I think you've kind of hit it on the head there. It all comes out to the individual and fit are they looking to get out of it, because even in my own experience, that's massively changed. So
Yeah.
to start with, we went into the coaching basically trying to plug holes in a sinking ship.
And I've not really mentioned, it was specifically the deal sourcing strategy that we were looking to implement. Because basically that's where you're packaging up deals, exact same as the ones we're buying right now, to be quite honest. Buy-to-let, kind of vanilla buy-to-lets in Aberdeen city centre. Packaging them up.
Nice and boring.
Yeah. Packaging them up, selling them to an investor, getting a fee for that. No money required from you. And basically the thought was we were quite lucky that with the package we were on, you were paying on a monthly basis rather than upfront.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, the idea was, right, can we learn about this and get a result within 4, 5, 6 months? And it's only, 3 months worth that you're paying upfront with no gain.
Yeah.
So to speak.
But aye, when you think of that, the motivations that we had back then, it was kind of probably more fear driven.
I think people react better to that though.
Aye, but what I mean is, we were trying to stop the money going out, and now we've got a much more positive outlook on it, I would say. We're looking to build something far bigger than we ever imagined possible than when we started.
Oh aye, we went from a place of fear, trying to run away from a situation, to building something bigger than us.
Aye. So, as well as the individual, it does come down to the coaching.
I think so. I think there's a lot, I can only speak about the experiences I hear others kind of relaying onto me.
Aye.
So I've obviously never went and did other training, but you hear a lot of people saying that go on a week's course and then there's no support in the back end.
Aye.
Now, let's be honest. I think your level of success is less to do with your technical knowledge and more about just going through the reps and building up your personal skills, to be honest.
Aye.
Just upgrading you. Just like, how do you deal with people? How do you deal with phone calls?
Yeah.
How do you deal with difficult situations? And I would say that's actually probably maybe 90% of it, but it's a large chunk of it. It's now the technicals about how much is your ADS, or yes, you need to get these things right, these little details, but it's made about how you react to things. And certainly from my point of view, that's probably the biggest thing from 2025 that I look back at, is I would say I deal with bad situations a lot better. I never dealt well with them at all 2 years ago before going through all the coaching.
Aye. It's I was about to say something there, but it's just went out my head again. We'll come back to it anyway.
But no, you hear a lot of people going away for a week, get a great course, but intense course, and then it's on you go.
Aye.
Now, that's the easy bit, is learning the technicals, how much a deposit do I need to put down a mortgage, how much is ADS, all of that kind of stuff. The hard bit is actually securing the deals. The hard bit is going out, getting rejection after rejection after rejection.
Well, see, I think
keeping on going.
that's two different things. Getting the deal is just, if it happens at the very end.
Aye.
It's like a binary thing, so it's really difficult to get any motivation for the process itself.
Yep.
So I think because when I look at deal sourcing, for example, right, I cannot point to one specific part of it and go, this is difficult. It's not difficult to pick up the phone to an agent. It's not difficult to email an agent. It's not difficult to work out what your offer should be. You can go on indefinitely. If it's difficult as doing it 10, 15, 20 times a day, 5 days a week on week.
And they getting a result for 2 months.
And they getting that result for 2 months, and then boom, it lands.
Yeah.
I think that's for most folk probably far off the bandwagon. It's literally just sticking it out for long enough to actually see the result, because I really don't think it is that difficult. It's just the consistency is the difficult bit.
100%. But
So do you think there's a place in coaching just for the consistency part?
there is a fair chunk of it, I would say, yeah, for mindset. And
Is that just for
That's-
accountability, or?
accountability is a massive part of it. I mean,
We're lucky we've got each other. Some folk don't hear that.
100%. It's a lot about the people around about you as well. Because let's be honest, you're making a lot of sacrifices to do this, and they also have to sacrifice as well, unfortunately. But it's about, if you've got that vision that's bigger than yourself, to build something, you know what I mean? The carrot at the end of the stick has got to be really good for whoever's reading about you as well. It's trying to get them to believe your vision as well.
Aye. There can certainly be a lot of negativity around starting a new business. And the thing is, they're absolutely right up until that first deal comes in.
They're still right with us. I mean, you look at us. If we want to write to 80, soon to be 24 properties, you know what I mean?
No, but if folk are telling you, why are you doing that? It's
Aye.
you're wasting money on coaching. You're pumping money into a business that's giving you nothing in return yet.
Aye.
So if you are at the beginning and you haven't got the proof of concept, or haven't done deals, haven't worked with investors, you're getting nothing but negativity back for agents, for sellers, and the folk round about you are telling you, they're so sure this is a good idea.
Aye, and they are just trying to protect you as well. They've absolutely,
Some of them, aye.
they've absolutely got your best interests at heart.
Others like a laugh.
There is that as well.
But then that's the stick to kind of run away with, prove them wrong.
Aye. Well, that's another part of the coaching, to be quite honest. If we never had each other, if you had that weekly coaching calls, that accountability in the WhatsApp, we were lucky we had a one-to-one package, so we could get access to the guys any time. That's a huge thing, because if you're on your own, but you've got that to lean into when things are getting tough.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to try to do this yourself,
that doesn't even need
with no coach, and everybody reading about you is negative, God help you, it's going to be a hard time.
It doesn't even need to be a coach. It could just be a community of folk. It doesn't even need to be property investors. It could just be folk that are trying something different. Like an accountability partner kind of thing.
Aye.
So if when you're thinking of quitting, wise up. Go on.
Aye.
Stick at it another day.
What I would say is, looking back, the advice I would have to somebody that's looking to get started, better way to do it is get yourself educated, join some of these networking groups. And after a year, if you're not getting results, I personally, whatever the money is, if it's $5,000 to say, would rather lose money that way and have it, give it a good go, try to go about it the right way, than jump straight into deals like we did. We did it wrong.
See, I think probably myself included actually, because if you remember back to when we signed up, we were coaches. I said, excuse me, I said, we'll sign up for the package once I get that £5,000 sourcing fee back for that deal that never happened.
Aye.
And if we had did that, we would have been waiting an extra year.
Yep.
So I think there are a lot of people out there that look at the cost of coaching. Some of it's really expensive, phenomenally expensive.
It is.
For the point of view of you do not know what the return will be.
It is, but it just depends what strategies you're looking to do. And again, I think it's something that probably isn't shown like the full picture when you see some of these ads with different coaches and that. But I think the deal sourcing is fair enough, because you can make, say, 3, 4, 5 grand per deal that you're sourcing on. So if your coaching is going to cost, say, 6 grand, you source 2 deals that year, you're in the up. Plus you've learnt all that skills and you can push on for there. Far, I think it goes wrong is if you're just looking to build up a portfolio, you might have in your head, okay, I'm going to buy 3 buy-to-lets, stick them in a limited company, because everybody's doing that, and then I'm going to work part-time. Now, what I don't think is kind of shown there a lot, that doesn't really work. Nowadays, you probably need to scale to at least 10 or so to make enough of a dent, really, to make it worthwhile. I mean, you've got accountancy costs, you've got other costs of running your company.
I was about to say, the first couple of properties are probably just paying your running costs.
Aye. Your average buy-to-let, you've got a decent enough buy-to-let if you're making $250 to $350 a month.
Aye.
Cash flow. You know what I mean? So that is one area that I do think probably is missold a wee bit, is if you're just looking to build your own portfolio, you need more than what it kind of says. But if you can, I think that's the beauty of property investing, is there's no one strategy that we're implementing that could have gotten us to where we're at. It has been the learning the deal sourcing. It has been learning that, you can raise private money, raise private loans, agree terms with somebody that you know who is maybe getting a poor return in the bank with their money, looking to get a better return on that money, and you're able to provide that. And there's different ways that you can provide security to them as well. We won't get into too much detail just now, but it's the use of one strategy that's gotten us here. It's the deal sourcing. It's then been the networking. It's then been because we've networked and we've bought one deal and it's went really well with these other guys who sold a deal to us. That's went well. They've came back to us when they've gotten a second one. Yeah. Now, that relationships have then developed further into something that is mental. Like, some of the relationships we've got with people who have barely been, like, in presence with, really. It's all just been our message or kind of over Zoom calls and stuff like that. Some of the best relationships we've got now is in property. But it's through all of these different strategies and meeting all these people that you're able to build what you have. But it's not just from one. If you go into it too one-dimensional, I think you kind of get down a rabbit hole a wee
Aye.
bit. If you're open-minded to all of these different strategies, and as much as I'm saying about networking, I think what's worked well for us has been to network, but keep our inner circle pretty close.
Yes.
Because if you widen it too much and get too trusting, that's when mistakes can happen as well.
Back to square one.
Exactly. It's a constant battle.
Aye.
You always want to grow and do more. Even just now, we spoke about it. Oh, should we invest in some other areas as well? Not move from investing in Aberdeen and Peterhead, but should we open ourselves up to other places? And we're giving that an experiment at the moment, and we'll see how that goes. But again, we've done that with somebody who we've met probably 5 or 6 times now.
Aye.
And we're doing it with somebody who we know of somebody else that's had a good experience with them.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And it's building up these connections that helps you to do that. But they widening that circle out too much.
Aye. So, far do you think coaching works really well for? And far does it nae work for?
Open-minded is probably the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Aye, that's probably the biggest one, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of people would have been in our situation and thought, we've already lost all this money, why would we go borrowing from other people
Aye.
to build a portfolio? So you've got to be open-minded, got to be pretty relentless, to be fair.
Aye.
And looking back, I certainly believe, from my point of view, I couldn't have got to here myself.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I think you've got to be realistic if you're doing it yourself. If you're maybe doing it with your partner, that is a huge thing, as if you're on the same page and doing it together.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But the rewards at the other side are definitely worthwhile.
Aye.
How about you? What do you think is the biggest thing that is the driver that actually gets the results?
It's difficult to pin it on any one thing, but you probably, just for delivering coaching from our side now. I mean, we're since September we've been delivering coaching along with the boys at SJ, and it's been quite interesting to see the variety of characters that kind of come through that process. Some lean into it really, really heavily, are very detail orientated, and they've had phenomenal starts. You see other folk that I think the right way of saying it was they probably haven't quite decided fit direction they want to tack things in yet, which is absolutely fine. That is part of coaching in itself, is kind of discovering if it's possible. Because if we didn't discover if it was possible, we wouldn't be here. We would still be deal sourcing or fucking up with rent to rent.
Aye.
So I think being able to help folk form a vision is part of it as well.
I think with that, though, interesting to hear what you think, but my personal view is, yes, get into these groups, utilise the resources at your disposal, into all the portals that you get access to, the training documents, etc., the videos. However, I would say one of the things we did pretty well was we caught on to deal sourcing as a high cash flowing strategy. It's not going to cost us a huge amount to get involved in that. It can help us with some of the losses we're making elsewhere. So we honed in on that for probably 6 months. It wasn't until that point that we thought, right, okay, there's this other thing that called private finance that's been in the trading modules. We'll have a look at that a wee bit more. We've now got the confidence. We've sold a couple of deals. Now we might look to go and do one ourselves. I think it's quite easy to go in and try and look at everything, and you're like a deer looking at the headlights. You just didn't know where to start.
Well, absolutely. If you've got infinite choice, I mean, there's countless strategies. Location, you could go wherever you want.
Aye.
In terms of fit level of stock do you go out and look for? It is pretty overwhelming, I think, especially if you're brand new to it.
Aye.
So I think if you already have a vision formed, then you're gonna do pretty well. But if that's something you need help with, and that is part of coaching as well. But I think one of the things I would say the most successful people do is they're able to take the advice, they're able to take the information and apply it to their own situation.
Aye.
Because if it works for me, doesn't work for you. If it works for you, doesn't work for me. But there'll be elements of it that are useful.
Aye.
So it's been able to sift through footwear delivering as coaches, footwear consuming as coaching clients, and been able to discard fit is maybe good for somebody else, but not particularly for me, and just keeping the gold.
Aye.
And incorporating that into fit you're doing. Market, basically mold the coaching around how you like to work. Because if you're fighting how you like to work, you're not going to enjoy it whatsoever.
No.
It's going to be a horrible, horrible experience.
And when you were going back and asking about what's the kind of people that you see that maybe come in and have a wee bit of success, this is a very generic thing I'm going to say, and it's not the case for everybody. But there is a trend that I have noticed with some of the coaching clients that will come in, or some of the guys that had been in before us, or round about when we started. And I do think a lot of the folk that are maybe similar ages to us, that maybe haven't picked up a huge amount of responsibilities, are able to maybe swing for the fences a wee bit more. And I'm saying swing from the fences, they taking ridiculous risks, but they're willing to take a risk.
Well,
because
you've got nothing to lose.
You've nothing to lose. And again, maybe folk at the other end of the spectrum who have already been able to build up to a decent level of living and maybe didn't have mortgage responsibilities anymore, that sort of thing. You also see them having a lot of success. That's possibly a wee bit of wisdom as well, because they've got a lot of experience. They've maybe run businesses before.
Oh, I thought you were about to deliver a bit of wisdom there. Sorry.
No, I'm not old enough for that. But
so you think it's the folk in the middle that are maybe hesitant?
That's what I find anyway. It's a very generic, there are people that are willing to take that risk, but you do find that maybe them that have, got the 2 cars in the drive, that are maybe both leased, that sort of thing. They've got the big house, they've got a young family to look after, and you can see exactly why it's difficult to take that plunge.
Well, it's not just you that affects at that point, is it?
No, that's it.
Aye.
But you do see a lot of the younger people that are coming in about that maybe didn't have young families on the go yet, that sort of thing. They're able to really get after it. They're able to, one, they've got a lot more time.
Aye.
And 2, they've less responsibility.
No, completely agree.
And it's a wee bit roles reversed, because you would automatically think that them that have maybe got a wee bit more money are the ones that are going to get the most traction. When in actual fact, if you can come in about, you can get good at the deal sourcing, get a bit of reputation for that. There's no reason that you can't then go out and raise the money, keep on doing the deal sourcing in the background, so that you can service that debt.
Yeah.
And build up a portfolio.
I think skill is still the number one asset. It's not actually the property.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, you still need to be bringing some element of the equation.
Aye.
Like whether that is doing the refurbs, raising the money for the deals, finding the deals. You'll maybe have individuals that you're tapping into for elements of that, but you need to be bringing something to the table.
It's like anything else. You hear it in a lot of podcasts, but I mean, the guys that have built up to a sizable portfolio, you could take it all away from them tomorrow. And
they'll build it back up.
They'll build it back up I'm not saying in a year, but
Aye.
a couple of years' time, they'll be able to deal source. They've got the investor network's a massive thing.
Oh, aye, absolutely.
I mean, some of these, we've mentioned our WhatsApp group for deals. You're hearing of guys having over 1,000 people in their groups.
Aye, they'll catch up one day.
But the value in that is much bigger than the value it's necessarily in a few properties.
Aye. So I'm going to make a statement to you, and I just want to see what you think about it.
Oh, interesting.
You didn't need coaching because all the information you need is already online for free.
I would agree, but you didn't. I would agree, but I wouldn't recommend it
Why?
because a lot of the information is out there. Let's be honest. We try and give as much value as possible in our social media content as possible to attract leads in for people that are maybe looking to buy deals,
Yeah.
to build that trust and confidence. So we're doing it. Everybody else is doing it as well. So there's a lot of information out there. And even listening to our podcasts, if we do this for long enough, people will be able to listen to that for free and get a lot of value from it. But there's so much volume of it out there, and there's so much of it conflicts each other. One person says one thing and another person says another thing.
Aye.
And you said about information overload, about joining a coaching program and not knowing exactly which strategy to follow.
Yeah.
It's 10 times worse when you've no coach there guiding you through that.
Aye, that's very true.
And that information is coming from one source.
Yes.
So you times that information by, are these other networks that are out there, are these other investors that are trying to give away value for free? And it's just a recipe for a fried head. Like,
I suppose the amount of information you would need to discard to be left with it's useful
yes.
is massive.
And I'm not being funny, but for example, you see a guy, the Central Belt, telling you that it's okay to leave 25 grand in a deal because over time the capital appreciation is going to eat away at that. But your strategy is that you're going to invest in Aberdeen, where prices have been going down over the last 10 years.
Aye.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing to buy in Aberdeen, but should you be leaving 25 grand in an asset and be expecting that to definitely appreciate over time? I mean, there's capital appreciation's nay guaranteed, but that's just an example that advice maybe applies down the road, maybe doesn't apply up here.
Aye. So to wrap it up then, because that is about 45 minutes again, I think. Maybe about 40. I'm not quite sure. What would you say to somebody that is kind of on the fence, thinking about coaching, but not quite convinced?
I would, for a start, go and speak to coaching clients of the groups that you're looking at. Ask them about the group. Ask them about what's included in the price. Do you get to go out to refurbs and price them up? Do you get, mastermind days where you get guest speakers coming in to speak? And that, I would say, it's quite helpful when you get people from out and about. I mean, we'd the one at SGA the other month with Chris DL, somebody from an outsider's perspective who's done massive things over the last couple of years. It's a different voice again from, hearing us or hearing James. And I think that's really helpful at times, they hearing it all the time, but just now and again getting another opinion from somebody outside. And are you getting weekly accountability calls? Is there any sort of WhatsApp support?
Aye.
But the biggest thing I would say is just two things I would say. So one of them being go and speak to current clients or maybe even previous clients, because previous clients have left, but maybe they've left for good reasons or bad reasons. Maybe they've gotten what they wanted out of it and it went so well they didn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe not such a good experience. And the other thing, as I've said probably 10 times on this podcast, look up what your coaches or potential coaches have already done. What are they currently doing? And does that align with, you've now got to know exactly what you're wanting to do, but you want to know the direction you're going.
I think you go into it with a feeling.
A direction, not a specific strategy, but
Aye.
right, this is roughly the road I want to take.
Aye.
And has this potential coach, have they done it in the past? Are they still doing it? That sort of thing.
Aye.
What about you?
No, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. I was going to ask you what relevance price has for you.
I think that changes.
Say a coach is charging £100 a month versus a coach that's charging £1,000 a month. Because I ken there are coaches out there that charge quite a lot of money, and shall we say there's maybe some folk coming out a bit baffled.
Aye. I mean, a lot of these groups have got different levels to coaching as well. and a lot of them will give you access to the materials and calls, and maybe be part of the big WhatsApp group for a pretty low barrier to entry at the £100,
Aye.
something like that, or maybe slightly more, but way too much more. And then it's kind of tiered up after that. I've spoken to a few people who have suggested just join at the basic rate for a couple of months, especially if you can join a group where it is structured like that you pay monthly and you can leave at any time.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount to lose out of that. I think where the risk is where you pay, say, a 10 grand chunk, you attend the 5-day course, and then there's no support at the back end. That's probably where the biggest risk is. If you're paying £1,000 a month and you've got unlimited access, I think it's more justifiable at least.
Aye.
But even then, you've still got to, if you've got no money to get started and you're looking to say deal source,
Aye.
you're going to have to deal source 4 or 5 deals in the first year, which, let's be honest, that's actually no bad going in your first year.
Yeah.
For a standing start to break even. But the way that you could look at that, and I probably would look at it now, but that's with hindsight, benefit of hindsight, to, even though it's all this effort, all this time that you're putting into it, if you pay £1,000 a month, you source 4 or 5 deals, and then that's you done at the end of that, or you go down onto like a lower package because you've learnt the majority of what you need to learn, it's still money well spent because you've developed some great skills.
I suppose there's something to be said for looking at the cost of an AD in it.
There's the cost of an AD in it, and it's not just the what are you going to get out of the coaching during the coaching period. You've kind of got to look at it, and is this something I'm going to do long term? Because if you break even in the first year and then you're able to profit 20 grand a year doing deal sourcing,
Yeah.
which is very, very possible, then £1,000 a month is maybe not bad.
That's maybe something else worth mentioning, is taking a longer term view on your enterprise.
Aye.
Then I go into it with a short term, I need to earn this amount by month number 3, or this is a complete failure.
And looking back, I mean, deal sourcing is a good starting strategy, I would say, for cash flow.
Oh, it's a gateway drug, absolutely.
Absolutely. But do I necessarily think that it's worth the £1,000 a month? Personally, if you're going into it to just do that, you've got to be a pretty prolific deal sourcer for that really to be worthwhile. But for me, looking back, it's the skills that we've learned to raise over £500,000 of private investment.
You graduate for it onto other things.
Aye. And then that's allowed us to then build up to 24 properties.
It's that unknown, isn't it? Because that could happen. Well, it did happen for us.
Aye.
It doesn't happen for everybody. But the only way to find out is to just go for it.
Aye. And as I've previously said, I'd rather have lost £1,000 a month having went and tried to get coaching, go about it the right way, learn from people that have done what I've done, rather than just take a wee bit of free advice online, spend 12 grand on a rent-to-rent deal, and then lose that. And then you're left with nothing. You've no skills. You've no nothing.
Just damaged confidence.
Aye, certainly.
There was something I was going to wrap it up on there, but again, it's escaped me. So,
Have you got a different... I mean, you're involved with the coaching side more than I am. Have you got a different outlook on it now that you've actually been on the other side of the fence?
do I have a different outlook on it? I would say aye. I think, as I say, you recognize if it works, or the genetic traits that successful people have, and people who maybe didn't quite get as much of it out of it as the ones that are having the success. So you're able to distill that even for yourself, because it's no. I think the coaching, it's a combination of information and implementation. So, and the implementation comes down to somebody's personality, how they go about their daily life, how they show up. And to a certain extent, I don't think that can be taught. So we can give folk the information. We can say this is how we implement it. You might implement it completely differently, but I can see at the minute, I think I've got about 18 people that I'm helping out in a coaching capacity. So I've got 18 different cases and 18 folk are implementing the information in their own unique way. And I'm able to see that works really well. That is working okay. We need to change this up a bit. So you're able, it's almost like I'm getting getting coached myself because I see if it works and if it doesn't. And well, from a personal perspective, I think it's made our business a lot better.
Aye.
Enjoying it, that's for sure.
Good.
Hoping we grow that element of the business in 2026.
Aye, it is enjoyable. You get someone new to it when you see somebody coming on a wee bit, don't you?
Oh, you definitely, you take a lot of joy when you see somebody win, actually.
Aye.
Because you feel like, especially when you see the win and you're like, we were discussing this exact issue yesterday. You've now went out and absolutely nailed it. You've landed that deal. You've landed that investment. You think, go on.
Aye.
Absolutely, go on. Good on you.
Aye.
It's like I'm living through them a wee bit.
Going back to the information versus implementation, I would argue 75%, something like that, is the implementation side.
Aye. Well,
25% is the information. And the reason I say it, so I'll take your business for example, and this isn't use an example from the past, it's just kind of put out there. We have a deal where had a deal accepted, I go and view the property, I miss something on the refurb side of things, and it's going to cost an extra $2,500. Now, if I'd spent heaps of time, if this was at the very start, and it was for our portfolio, and it cost us $2,500, if that was at the very start of our journey, and I'd focused 100% on the detail, but not the implementation, I would have gotten bogged down in that. Yes, I would have noticed that $2,500, but how many deals would I have missed out on by overanalyzing in absolutely every little detail?
tying or selling knots.
Tying or selling knots. Whereas if you're the person that is implementing a lot, one other deal sourced more than pays for that $2,500 on the refurb. I'm not saying you should go and miss these things on refurbs, but
I think a coach is able to give you that bird's eye view.
Aye.
That you quite often can't see yourself because you're in the thick of it.
You've forgotten your own analogy here, but I'll remind you. It's basically like being at the temp and bowling and putting the blockers up at the sides.
Aye. Well, that is something I think is true. If you've got the drive and the focus, then a coach just helps you point that in the right direction.
Aye.
So you're going to get to where you want to go so much faster. There's no doubt about it. If it's a good coach and you're a good client.
Aye. But it does. Aye. It takes a good relationship and it takes both of you to put in what you need to make it a success. But I think the student needs to go in taking responsibility for their own success as well.
Aye, it's absolutely not the case that you sign up for coaching and the coach is basically going to magic you a profitable property business.
No.
Well, maybe provide the building blocks and say, this is how I assembled them and it seemed to work out no bad for me.
Or if anybody can deliver that, let us know.
Aye, well, there is that. So I think that is a pretty convenient point to wrap it up. I kind of said that about 20 minutes ago, but I said this was going to be half an hour. We're nearly at an hour.
Aye. I suppose on that note, though, I mean, the main topic of this episode has been about the coaching side of things. We obviously help out at the SJ property community. If you have any questions at all about our experience, having been at the kind of student side of it, coming in and how it worked for us, or maybe how it's working for us now that kind of tables have turned a wee bit and we're getting involved with the coaching, just reach out to us. Any of us would be happy to have a conversation just how it's worked and it'll be very honest about kind of what you could get out of it, how it's worked, and add on that.
No, sounds good. As he says, feel free to get in touch, and we will see you on the next one.
Aye.
Cheerio.
Bye for now.